Let me ask you a question. What if the business you're building right now is actually building your burnout instead of freedom? See, most entrepreneurs think they're chasing success, but really they're chasing someone else's version, someone else's definition of success. I want to help you today to rewrite that definition so you can build a business you actually love living with. Let's go ahead and get to it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum podcast. I'm your host, Kadeem McQueen, and today I want to draw on some principles from the book, How Are You Really? From Jenna Kutcher. Now, this is a powerful book. I read it a few years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, and I think for all entrepreneurs, it's a great read. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, you're just going through life, feeling busy, feeling burnt out, feeling like you're on the verge, let's say, of not being able to do one more thing because you're about to explode, you're about to break like anger and inside out, you're about to blow up. So for anybody who's feeling like that, I recommend reading this book. It's a great read, great content, great resource to draw on. And again, we're going to draw some principles from it today. The first one being redefining success, because I find a lot of us think the more time we put in, the more work we do, the more successful we are, or the more successful we will be. The goal is not busy work. The goal is not to be busy. The goal is success. Now, success from the outside looking in looks like certain things, right? Society deems success to look a certain way, right? A certain lifestyle, drive a certain car, eat certain meals or at certain restaurants, and have a certain physique or whatever the case is. But that's not really success. The question is, what do you define as success? And if you never really sat down and thought about it, this is your time. Sit down, think about it. Listen to this episode, and as soon as it's done, sit down, take 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour, however long you need, and really define what success looks like for you. Not what society or your family deems to be successful, not what your parents, your children, your cousin, your brother, your aunt, your uncle look or deem success to be, but what do you define success as? How do you define it? Because again, if you really think putting in time and being busy is the definition of success, that's how you're currently defining it, there's an issue, there's a problem, because that ultimately leads to you building your own burnout, right? You're building a prison, building this business for yourself. New entrepreneurs think this way. They think they're going to escape their 9-to-5, but really they're building themselves a 24/7 prison. And that's not the way to go, because as an entrepreneur, I'll tell you this, at my job, right? My previous job, even people would ask me or remind me, let's say, about the holidays, right? It could be a Thursday and there might be a holiday on the Monday or even on the Friday. And they're like, oh yeah, any plans for the long weekend? And I'll look at them, I'm like, wait, long weekend? What are you talking about? Because I've been so caught up with working my business. As an entrepreneur, holidays don't mean much to you, but they should, because you're working Saturdays. Sometimes you're working Sundays, even if you want to take Sundays off. You're working Friday. It doesn't matter what time of day, what time of year. It doesn't necessarily, there are certain times, of course, where you're going to cut it off, maybe Christmas if you celebrate that or whatever the case is. But generally speaking, weekends don't really exist, is what we say. That's the unspoken, let's say, truth about entrepreneurship. However, we need to make sure, again, we focus on the fact that busyness does not mean successful. Because you are busy doesn't mean you're successful. What are you really doing in those hours? Are you really building a business, or are you just doing busy work? Are you really making progress towards what you deem to be successful? Because if you're not, you're really just wasting your own time. Trying to please others is never going to work and build a life that you're proud of. It is not going to build a life that you love. All right, so I don't necessarily want to harp on this point too much, but again, more hours does not equal more success. So what's the point of building that luxurious lifestyle if at the end of the day, it's not how you define success? What's the point of living or building that luxurious lifestyle if it doesn't align with you mentally or spiritually? You are not going to be happy. I'm going to give you a newsflash. You are not going to be happy building this type of lifestyle when it doesn't align with you mentally or spiritually. So pause, reflect, define, what does success look like for you? Because again, success is building a life that feels good, let's say, on the inside, internally, versus one that just looks good on the outside. That's why I'm talking about the luxurious lifestyle, the cars, the food, the clothes, whatever the case is. It's not about that. And you might think, or you might define success, let's say, as that, or that's a part of success, but it's not the whole picture. And it depends on how you define it. Again, I might define it differently than other people do, than you do. So what does it really mean to you? And falling into this trap, again, it can be, how can I put it? It could be life altering. right? It could lead to a life of misery because you're chasing this thing that you don't really care for. You're going to get burnt out. You are going to be drained. You are not going to be happy. I know I said I'm not going to harp on this, but I feel like it's an important point, especially for new entrepreneurs, let's say 0 to 3 years in. Yeah, you got to focus on the right things. And if your focus is off right now, you're not in alignment. So we need to refocus. We need to define what success really looks like for us. Go back to the drawing board. I don't care how many years you are in business. You might be listening to this and you might be feeling that exact same way. And if that's the case, I got a blank whiteboard beside me. Go back to your whiteboard, go back to the drawing board, fill in or define what success looks like for you. Brainstorm, write all over it if you need to, but take that time for you and, pray, meditate, whatever you got to do. Define what it looks like and get rid of the noise, the outside noise. Because again, you look on social media, you scroll through, you see everybody's highlight reel. That's not success. A lot of people are putting up, faking it, whatever the case is. What does success mean to you? It's such an important point. All right, I'm going to move on. I promise.
As a subscriber to this podcast or a listener to this podcast, I want to give you $30. How am I going to do that? Enter Rakuten. Rakuten is a platform where you can find deals of the week. And on here, it doesn't matter if you're looking for clothes, doesn't matter if you're looking for electronics, services, food, you can get cash back. $30 cash back, rather 30%, 20%, 4%. You can get Dyson Yeti. I know a lot of us need to file our taxes. Those of us who are late, you can use Intuit TurboTax to file your taxes. Ancestry. There are deals upon deals on here. And here's how it's going to work. I refer you. You click the link in the description. You spend $30 on this platform. Guess what? We both get $30 back. Sounds like a win-win deal, doesn't it? Go ahead and click that link in the description and get yourself your $30.
Let's move on. All right. So another point from this book, all right? Sustainable growth versus burnout. I'll give you an analogy here. Being in the gym, you might get into the gym. First time in the gym in, let's say, a few years or 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case is, first time in, and you aim to lift the heaviest weight that you can lift. You're going to break some things. You're going to strain some things. You're going to tear some things. You got to be careful because it's your first time in the gym in maybe 5-10 years. You probably don't even know the right form. And in the gym, anybody who is into fitness, let's say, health and fitness will tell you your form is what matters the most because you do the wrong form. And yeah, you can snap something. I'm not hoping it or wishing it on you, but you could break something, you could snap something, you could tear something. You got to be careful. You can twist something. So instead of doing that and aiming for explosive growth to build muscles quickly, because you think lifting the heaviest weight is what's going to get you there, that's not the case. Instead, focus on consistent, slow and steady progress. It might be annoying, let's say, because you're going to, step by step. It's going to take time. You work out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You don't see much difference. You work out for a month, 2 months, starting to see some little changes and you feel like, it's too much. It's taking too long. But I promise you, if you stick with it, you'll continue to see growth and you'll continue to have the clarity of mind, right? The clarity and just feel different. Emotions are different. When you're constantly in the gym, constantly exercising, working out, eating healthy, drinking water, the whole 9 yards. So I say that because it relates to your business and your life, but to your business. Don't focus on just blowing up and getting, let's say, expansive growth. Don't just focus on getting expansive growth, doing the quick thing to get the quick result. No, focus on the steady action, the steady actions you got to take daily that'll help you to get to that massive explosion, let's say. Because it's about those steady, again, the journey of 1,000 miles, let's say. Every step adds up, right? Compound. Those little daily habits. Continuing to do those actions, that's what leads to sustainable growth. Trying to do the explosive thing, that's what leads to burnout. However, in that steady growth, the steady action, we need to make sure we're doing the right things. Because if we're not doing the right things, you're going to burn out the same way. So we got to be doing the right things. Otherwise, we will burn out. All right. So you don't need to do it all. This is an important point. You don't need to do it all right now. Focus on the slow. I know people don't like that word. Focus on the slow, steady growth. Because that's how you know it's growing well. It's growing the right way. If it's not growing the right way, but you try to do everything quickly, you miss a few things, right? And I'm not saying to, let's say, take your time with it in terms of be slower than you need to be. But all I'm saying is keep eyes on it. Be a little bit more meticulous. Because if you're seeing how it's growing, you can make small adjustments as you need to see where this process needs to get a little tweak that can excel the speed, let's say, of the business, but also the growth of the business. So again, don't focus on that explosive growth. focus on doing things the right way. And the slow and steady, let's say, the action steps, the daily habits, that's what ultimately builds businesses.
Listen, if you've been a struggling entrepreneur, you feel like you're putting in so much effort constantly, daily, so much time, effort, and energy, but you feel like you're stretched thin. You feel like you're overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid. I have a campaign running right now, and it is called the Apex System. This is something that is going to help to change your life as an entrepreneur, because we're going through the system, and I'm going to teach you all about it. A stands for automation. P stands for prioritize. E for elevate. And X for excel. Each of these things, this 4-step system is going to help you to change your life. And instead of being overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid, you're going to live a life that you really want to live. The reason you started this business, that lifestyle you've been aiming for, we're going to help you to accomplish that by now doing the tasks that you love to do, be overpaid, and have the time to spend with your family, your loved ones, or to have that freedom that you've been seeking. Freedom of time, freedom of location, and of course, freedom of finances. But that only works if you go ahead and you register. apexaffiliation.com/system. Go there, register, so that you can understand how this 4-step system really will help you to elevate. apexaffiliation.com/system. I'll see you there.
The last point I want to make mention of here, and there's a lot of points in this book, but for the sake of the length of the video, of course, create a life first, then create a business. Because a lot of us build a business or aim to build a business, and then we build our life around it. But we got to do it the opposite way. Build your life, build your business around your life. Because which is more important to you, your life or your business? Your family, your loved ones, or your business? Currently, we're building a business and we're building our life around the business when we're supposed to build a life and build a business around our life. Because that is when we know we're doing things again in alignment with our values, right? Value alignment, spiritual alignment, and mental alignment. And if we're not doing that, again, there's no way you're going to be happy. You're going to be burnt out. You're going to be tired of doing these tasks. You're going to ask yourself, listen, you're doing a lot of things you don't even like to do. Let's just be honest. You don't necessarily like, it may be, this might be the case for you. You don't like sitting down meeting with clients. You don't like doing the presentation for clients. You don't like doing all the paperwork for clients. There's certain things you don't like. And I'm not saying you got to like every aspect of your business, but you don't like anything about your business. You might like the mission of the business. You might like the potential results you can get financially and for your lifestyle with the business, but you don't like anything else about it. You don't like any level of the business because it's going to be the same no matter which level you get to. And if that's the case, newsflash, you might need to stop doing that. You might need to check yourself. All right, do a checkup. Why are you doing this thing? And ultimately, it comes back to what I said previously, which is your definition of success. Are you doing it because that's how others define success? That's how society defines success. And if that's the case, I encourage you to sit down and write down your top 3, let's say, things that you're doing right now that are not in alignment. You're doing it because of how others see or define success. You're doing it because it looks good to others, but it's not, let's say, scratching an itch that you have, right? It's not doing anything beneficial for you. It's not in alignment. And if that's the case, write those things down, take that time to figure them out, and really reevaluate why you're doing those things and if you should continue doing those things. That was kind of a side note, a tangent, forgive me. But to go back to this last point here, create a life first, then a business. Your life should be supported by your business, not your life should support your business. Let's make that clear distinction. And that's what happens when you build a life and then you build your business around your life versus building your business, which is the wrong way to do it, and then building your life around the business, right? Life is more important than your business, I promise you. So that being said, I know there's people who, let's say, kind of built their life. At one point, honestly, I built my life around my business, showing up to, like, saying no to every single event, let's say, no matter what event it was for 8 years almost. Just why would I go to that when I got this training I got to do every single, day of the week or whatever the case is. And that affects relationships and so on. And yes, there is a level of commitment to a business. There are sacrifices to be made. However, what's the most important thing in terms of our values? And at that point, it was business. However, there was a contrasting battle going on in my mind because really family, friends, certain relationships, when I say friends, I mean brothers. Those are more important to me than my business. Yes, my business affects them. However, the business needs to take a back seat if something's going on with the family, right? So just to give you a clear contrast there, build your life and then build your business around your life. Make sure we got the priorities right. And that being said, actually, one thing that'll help you with that is to write down your top 5 non-negotiables, 3 to 5, let's say, non-negotiables, because we got to make sure we protect our peace. We got to make sure we put barriers up, essentially. And what will help you define those barriers are these top 5 non-negotiables, whether it's your family dinners, your weekends, your date night, your one-on-one time with your children, whatever the case is. Your top 5 non-negotiables, and ask yourself, is my business model supporting or sabotaging these? If it's sabotaging these, of course, adjustments need to be made. One last point I want to share with you is don't just build for applause, build for alignment. We talked about spiritual alignment, we talked about mental alignment, and again, alignment with your values. That's what we really want to build for. Entrepreneurs who win long-term, they have alignment. They make sure they check on these things regularly. They do a weekly, monthly checkup to make sure they're still in alignment. Businesses do a financial checkup to make sure they're in alignment with their goals and what they're going after, right? They do audits regularly, not just from a financial perspective, but from a company perspective in terms of their employees. Are we treating customers the right way? That's why a lot of them do customer feedbacks, surveys, and so on. That's one of the reasons anyway. So again, are you in alignment? Because long-term successful entrepreneurs, they're in alignment without question. They have their values, they know their priorities. They set up barriers and boundaries to assist and help them. And that actually helps the business. A lot of people think that might make the business do worse, but that helps the business to grow because things are defined clearly and there's no negotiation there. This is priority, this is happening, I need to go take care of that, and somebody else can handle that for now, right? It's not a priority because this is the priority at the moment. But if nothing's going on there, then absolutely the business is getting the care and attention it needs. So again, don't just build for applause, build for alignment. And entrepreneurs who win long-term are the ones who create businesses that serve their lives and are in alignment with their gifts and goals, right? Not ones that consume them. Don't create a business that consumes you, but create a business that's in alignment. If you're ready to design your life and build your business with proper alignment, a business that serves you in your life instead of you serving the business, then check out that link below for my one-on-one coaching service, Self-Mastery, and see how we can help you with that. If this episode was helpful for you and you benefited from this, somebody else who could benefit from this, share it out with them because they may not hear it unless you share it. All right, Kadeem here. Appreciate you for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one.